Got the new turbo installed. This turbo is actually made for the Fiat 500 Abarth, which has the same motor as a Dodge Dart, but there's a few minor differences. But I pretty much got everything I needed in the kit from ATP. So if this is a job you're thinking about doing to your Abarth or your Dart, I say do it. It really wasn't that difficult. And if you watch this video, I'll go over a few tips and tricks on how to get this thing out of here, get the new one in, and make sure everything works good. All right, looks like we have success getting the turbo out of the Dodge Dart. I had to take the manifold off. There was a couple little moments where I had to fight and struggle with it a little bit, but all in all, pretty good. I've been working on this for 2 hours now. So in 2 hours time, old turbo's off, ready to get boxed up. If you take a look at these two turbos, it's pretty obvious that one is bigger than the other. So that's the old one. Still got to switch over my wastegate situation here, but that I can do later. Most important part is getting the stock turbo in the box sent back to ATP, because that's a $1,000 core charge. So if you're going to do this yourself, make sure you're ready for when it comes in, because you don't want to have $1,000 floating around out there for nothing. This is the turbo that I'm sending back for my core. When you do this, you're going to want to make sure you take off any blow-off valve or anything that you have on it. Put the stock wastegate back on it. Don't give them anything nice that you paid extra money for. Alright, so the next step of the installation is to figure out the oil and coolant lines. And thankfully enough, this one right here, this one comes from the oil pump. This one is going to bolt right up to the new turbo. No modifications necessary. It's the same one, never touched it. It's bolted on the bottom here on the oil pump. You're going to run into one problem when you're doing this kit, and they gave you the extra lines and everything for it, so don't get too scared. It's still a do-it-yourself job. If you'll notice, on the stock turbo, the coolant line goes to the back side of the turbo here, but since the compressor housing is so small, this bend here is perfect. This compressor housing is much larger, so this whole setup right here does not work. They give you a brand new line right here, you can see, with an elbow on it. This right here is going to go right down there where you see the little puddle of coolant. Only needed minor modifications. The catless downpipe bolted up, no problem, no issues there at all. Just had to switch out some lines, which conveniently enough they gave us with the kit. I had to make a little modification right here to the my hard piping engine kit. Since the new turbo sticks forward a little too much, this had to be adjusted, so I just had to drill a new hole in a spot where it looked pretty nice and call that good. This line right here is that really long line that runs up to the top of the turbo. That's for the oil feed. And this fitting right here at the bottom of the turbo, the nice one that we didn't have to modify or hook up anything different to, I recommend, if I was going to do this again, I would actually drain the oil, or at least, you know, get as much out of the pan as I can. Probably just do an oil change right away. This big bolt right here, this big banjo bolt, and then this where it goes into the pan where it feeds back in, if you take all that off, it'll make it a lot easier, because you'll be able to get the heat shield off easier, be able to get the exhaust manifold off easier, and put that back together last. Had to buy an adapter for this right here, for the blow off, so that I can run my other blow off valve. Alright, so in conclusion, that is my review of the installation of the Fiat 500 Abarth turbo upgrade from ATP being installed on a Dodge Dart. So the two vehicles are very similar, so this installation was really easy. The only modifications we really had to make, just the oil lines and coolant lines, which were supplied with the kit. I bought a new blow-off valve. You don't have to. You can use your stock one by buying the adapter. Had to make a little modification here to the intake. The new turbo is a 2.5 inch. Your stock turbo is a 2 inch, and that's a 3 inch intake pipe. So without having the lines going into the intake pipe anymore, I just have them filtered off. Can't stress enough about that oil line that goes down to the oil pan. Just take that off first, put it on last, and everything should go real smooth for you. So if you decide to do it, let me know. Put it in the comments. I'd like to hear how it worked out for you, or share a video. Thanks a lot, and subscribe to my channel.